today we're diving into something that is literally universal, but also kind of deeply mysterious. We're talking about why music from our past carries such a heavy and sometimes totally overwhelming emotional weight. We're going to break down the neurobiology of nostalgia and specifically figure out why older songs just seem to have this unique power to hurt us in the absolute best way possible. So let me ask you this. Has a song ever made your chest just physically ache? I mean, you know the exact feeling I'm talking about, right? It's that bittersweet, almost painful little sting that hits you the second a familiar melody comes on the radio, and boom, you're instantly transported back to a specific summer, an old relationship, or maybe your childhood home. It literally feels like a physical pull in your chest. Well, let's dive into this, because that physical ache you're feeling, it's actually rooted in a totally wild, centuries-old medical mystery. See, today we usually think of nostalgia as this warm, fuzzy, benign fondness for the past. But man, that was absolutely not always the case. Back in 1688, a Swiss physician named Johannes Hofer actually coined the term nostalgia. He mashed up the Greek words nostos, which means a return home, and algos, meaning pain or distress. But here's the crazy part. Hofer wasn't just describing a fleeting emotion. He was literally classifying a severe, potentially fatal physical disease. I'm talking chronic fatigue, fever, starvation, and a silent prostration so deep that patients would literally just wither away. It was considered a full-blown, terrifying medical crisis. And the primary vector spreading this disease, believe it or not, it was music. Specifically, this traditional Swiss cowherd song called the Ranz des Vaches. When Swiss mercenaries who were fighting in foreign armies heard this super simple alpine melody, it triggered this nostalgic disease so incredibly severely that they would just dissolve into tears, physically collapse, and actually desert their posts. The reaction was so intense and spread like such wildfire that French military commanders and European monarchs strictly outlawed anyone from playing or singing this song under pain of death. No joke. Death. And this brilliantly illustrates just how wildly our understanding of this intense longing has evolved over time. I mean, in 1688, Hofer thought it was caused by a vibration of animal spirits in the brain, so his big prescription was just to send the patient home. Fast forward to 1733, and the Russian military command was so desperate to stop their troops from falling victim to this despondency that they actually buried a soldier alive as a warning to the others. Yeah. Then, during the French Revolution, Jordan Lecointe decided it was just a lack of discipline, so he prescribed pain and terror to shock patients out of it. It's crazy to think about, but over the centuries, we slowly shifted from treating nostalgia as this fatal physical illness to understanding it as a highly complex psychological resource. But to really understand that psychological resource, we've got to look inside the modern brain. Modern fMRI scans reveal that nostalgia isn't just some tiny localized glitch or a single memory firing off. No, it is a massive synchronized network event. It fires up the default mode network for self-reflection, the hippocampus for your autobiographical memory, the reward network, hello, dopamine, and the salience network for emotional regulation all at the exact same time. Your entire brain practically lights up in this beautifully coordinated dance the second a nostalgic song plays. So, the absolutely crucial point here is how these networks actually talk to each other. Neuroimaging shows us that nostalgic music creates this dramatically enhanced connection between your posteromedial cortex, which is basically the main hub for your personal autobiographical memories, and your anterior insula, which is the part that processes visceral, physical feelings in your body. This specific neural pathway is exactly why a memory of your past feels like a real physical ache in your chest right now. Your brain is quite literally wiring a memory directly to a physical sensation. But what happens when that connection misfires? Well, EEG scans have shown us something pretty remarkable. When you hear a song that feels familiar, but you just can't quite pinpoint the specific autobiographical memory attached to it, your brain throws off these heightened low-frequency frontal waves, stuff like theta and delta waves. You are actually experiencing measurable cognitive frustration. Your brain is actively searching, and that sheer inability to close the nostalgic loop, that generates a very real emotional hurt. It's like a sneeze that just won't come out, but for your feelings. Now, you might be wondering, why do certain songs just lock into these networks so much harder than others? Well, it all comes down to when you first heard them. See, human memory isn't recorded evenly across our lives. We have what scientists call a reminiscence bump.
And globally, across all demographics, the peak age for cementing our deepest, most profound musical attachments is exactly 17 years old. During adolescence, your brain is basically a hyper-reactive dopaminergic sponge. It just absorbs emotional experiences, especially music, so incredibly deeply, turning those songs into a permanent archive of your emerging identity. And what's really fascinating here are the gender asymmetries in how this encoding actually happens. For guys, the peak encoding age hits slightly earlier, right around 16, and it's heavily anchored in rebellious genres that fuel a sense of independence and autonomy. Meanwhile, for women, the peak age extends a bit later, usually past 19, and encompasses a much broader spectrum of genres that are used primarily as tools for navigating relationships and social bonding. But for both groups, this adolescent period creates a rigid, highly stable musical anchor that lasts the rest of their lives.
But wait, it gets better, because it doesn't actually stop with your teenage years. There's also this phenomenon known as the cascading reminiscence bump. Ever felt a deep, totally unexplainable emotional connection to a song that came out like 20 or 30 years before you were even born? Yeah, this happens because we implicitly absorb the music our parents and family members play when we're in early childhood. This domestic exposure literally embeds those older songs right into our early memories, which essentially gifts us a second temporal bump in our lifelong memory profile.
So this brings us to a really major question. If our brains are just these memory sponges, why do so many people feel that older music, completely regardless of the era they actually grew up in, triggers this emotional ache way better than modern pop? I mean, is it just rose-tinted glasses? Let's take a look at the evolution of the music itself. Because empirical science says, nope, it's absolutely not just in your head. Over the last 7 decades, popular music has actually undergone a massive, quantifiable structural shift. Mathematical models that analyzed Billboard hits all the way from 1950 to 2023 reveal that melodic and rhythmic complexity has steadily dropped by about 30%. And you can see these distinct revolutions. There's a big drop in 1975 with stadium rock and disco, another dip in 1996 with MTV and early hip-hop, and then a massive shift right around 2000, heavily driven by digital loops and production software. The actual structural canvas of the music has just become vastly simpler over time.
And it's not just the melodies either, it's the words. Huge lyrical analyses of tens of thousands of songs show a profound semantic shift. Vocabularies have shrunk, largely replaced by highly repetitive choruses. We've also seen a massive surge in first-person pronouns, words like I and me, while communal words like love and share have basically plummeted. Plus, there's been a really steady, significant rise in anger and negative emotionality in the lyrics. Interestingly enough, this long-term trend towards simplicity and stress only ever really pauses during massive societal crises, like the COVID-19 pandemic, when pop lyrics temporarily become more complex and positive to help us collectively cope. Pretty wild, right? Now, the why behind all this simplification is super fascinating. It boils down to the streaming penalty. In today's heavily algorithm-curated digital landscape, an artist has maybe 10 to 15 seconds to hook a listener before they hit skip. Because of that intense pressure, artists are basically forced to abandon those slow-burn, complex narrative buildups that really defined older music. But here's the catch. Without that structural uniqueness and rich narrative scaffolding, modern songs leave a much shallower mnemonic footprint in your hippocampus. They literally just do not have the architecture to root themselves deeply into your long-term memory. So if it hurts, why do we actively seek out this deep, bittersweet ache? For years, the leading idea was the prolactin theory. The thought was that sad music somehow tricks the brain into feeling empathetic distress, which triggers the release of prolactin, a comforting hormone. And that leaves us feeling, tranquil. But get this, in 2023, the actual creator of this theory, David Huron, ran an empirical study and flat out debunked his own work. He found literally zero change in prolactin levels. The actual reality? Sad, nostalgic music acts more like a virtual friend. It engages our dopamine pathways, giving us a totally safe environment for emotional catharsis and regulation with absolutely zero real-world consequences. And this safe emotional safety net is so powerful, it creates crazy phenomena like anemoia. Anemonia is this profound, heavily romanticized nostalgia for a time or a place that you have literally never personally experienced. We're seeing this everywhere today with Gen Z and millennials seeking refuge in the pre-digital past. Through genres like vaporwave, the ones that slow down and loop old, crackly 1980s or mid-century tracks,
Younger listeners are utilizing this borrowed nostalgia to basically escape the hyper-connected stress of the modern world.
Now, they're able to do this largely because of something called hagiastasia. This is our fundamental, deeply ingrained cognitive tendency to project an illusory sense of specialness or a sacred aura onto historical artifacts. Because older music possesses that complex melodic and narrative structure we just talked about, our brains can effortlessly use it as an aesthetic time machine. It becomes the ultimate coping mechanism, letting us project our desires for an authentic, simpler life onto a past we might not have even lived through.
So, from a fatal medical illness treated with literal terror in the 17th century, all the way to a vital neurological resource that helps us regulate our emotions and map our identities today, nostalgia is undoubtedly one of the most powerful forces in the human mind. Older songs hurt more because they are structurally built to reach deep into our memories and hold on tight. So, as you go about the rest of your day-to-day and pop your headphones in, I really want you to think about that 17-year-old version of yourself. What song will be your time machine?